Good morning, Stanton. We are back with something a little bit different. So if you are someone who has watched some of my other videos, this is going to be entirely different than what you're used to. If you've never been to this channel before and you came here by search through YouTube, or you're recommended, or through the contest that the cosplay contest where I posted a link to this video, welcome, and feel free to check out some of my other videos, which are entirely different. All Star Citizen on this channel, but mostly gameplay, tutorial, checking things out, just kind of exploring around. This, however, is a little bit different. And this has to do with a recent contest in Spectrum for the cosplay contest. My second, sorry, I got a bit of a sore throat from breathing in car AC for about 6 days straight, so bear with me. This is my second attempt at kind of a cosplay, Star Citizen cosplay. Last year I did something fairly low budget, just like my videos where I'm saying maybe play the game, earn money in game, buy ships in game, you don't need to spend a lot of money. I've been trying to make cosplay using found items or fairly cheap items, and so this is a Star Kitten suit and helmet on the cheap by using things I found around the house or from the dollar store. So the first thing I did before I started constructing this is I gathered some reference photos. So I went on the internet and found some, as well as took some photos in game. So I have always liked the look of the Star Kitten helmet. I actually think it's kind of neat, and I unfortunately do not have the Star Kitten helmet. It's not something I actually own, even though it's something I like. So in order to start this project, what I did first is I went on the internet and I started searching around, searching for reference photos and finding a bunch of them, as well as anytime I saw someone wearing it in game, I would take their picture. So perhaps this is you here, one of the people that I've taken pictures of when I see the Star Kitten helmet. So this got me a lot of reference photos. A lot of stuff I found on the internet was slightly different, so I've kind of taken the aspects of what I liked out of all these and came up with a plan. So step one is just kind of finding the armor you like and taking photos in game, or finding photos that you can use when you are constructing your item, coming up with ideas of what you'll need and how big. That's another big challenge as well, is not making this too big. Unlike in the game, if you're making a helmet that is quite easy to put on, it'll end up being like a motorcycle helmet. It'll be large and it'll be just a massive thing sitting on your shoulder. So I tried to make this as tight fitting as possible, so that it doesn't look out of proportion when it's on my head. So this is the biggest challenge, is not making a large helmet, but making something that is small and will still fit your head. First thing I needed to do is to make the helmet. And so to make the helmet, what I did is I made a cast of my head. And you can see here is the start of this. I used some plastic bags to stop the tape from sticking my head, and then use tape. I did not, although it may look like this, tape a plastic bag around my head. Do not try doing this. If you're going to try on yourself, don't wrap yourself in a plastic bag around your head. You can't really see, but the mouth area and the eyes area, like this whole area, is all open. It is not closed in. It was closed in once I was done. Once I was done, I closed up the bags and taped them up, and I put another bag inside to kind of make it watertight, and then stuck a stick through the handles and suspended it in a bowl. And the first found item is I found a bucket full of half-hard concrete for fence posts, and I filled it up. So I made a solid, heavy bust of my head. And the reason why I did this also originally was my plan was to use heat and plastic and try to like vacuum form or form plastic around this. That is not what I ended up doing. But there we are. We've got now my head shape cast out of concrete. So I can unwrap that from the plastic bags, and oh my god, there it is. There, look at that beautiful. Oh, it's like if Sloth from the Goonies got shot in the face. That is not an attractive look. So you can see beside there's some plaster. I ended up going, instead of plaster, using some drywall compound, something also that I had in my house. So I covered it in drywall compound and sanded it down. Looks much better. Still kind of lumpy, still kind of cracked. So one more. Oh, there's my dog. There's Stella. One more go at this, and once it was dry, I could sand it up. And there we are. Much better. Nice and smooth, good shape in my head. Using this, something I didn't take a picture of, is I then covered it with paper mache on the front to kind of create a shell that I would use as a pattern. I also, from the dollar store, one of my first dollar store purchases is a $1 pair of sunglasses. I ground down with a Dremel the nose bridge area and cut off the arms and ground them a bit flat, and then I stuck that to the paper mache template pattern to kind of position them, and then I actually cut up the paper mache template, it's only on the front, and laid it out flat and used that to design pattern pieces for foam core. Another dollar store find is these foam tiles. I ended up using 3 of them total, one for the helmet and 2 different colors for the chest piece armor I ended up making. So you can see these little marks on here, little tabs. Those are to line up once I cut them out in order to glue them together. So to glue them together, I just used contact cement, and I'd start to glue and bend the pieces. You can see these tiles had kind of a metallic grid pattern on one side and smooth on the other, and I use that on some of the pieces. Some it shows through and some it doesn't. So currently I have them facing where the grid side is facing in, and that's because those sides are being pressed together harder than the other sides. You have a front and a back. You can see I haven't cut the tabs off on the left piece here. Those are the tabs that you could link them together. Later I turn this inside out and have this grid on the outside, so this metallic kind of carbon fiber weave will show through on some parts of the helmet. So right now I'm gluing the front together, and then I'll turn it inside out. While that was curing, I cut out another piece of foam and designed the facial features, and then got out Dremel tool and started carving away, thinning out around the eyes, carving into the teeth, thinning out along the forehead, making this a more 3D shape. So this started to turn out really good, and this is where it really started to come together. As you can see now, I have this piece turned inside out. There's the contact cement that I was using to stick things together. The gap in the mouth, I ended up cutting this area away to actually make the helmet fit a bit better, and as well as there is breathing. So behind this panel, it's not glued down solidly, and there's breathing space where I've cut out for the mouth. So there's actually a bigger hole than what you see here cut out for breathing. That also prevents the glasses, which are now glued in place, from fogging up. And with that on, I started to do a little more things. I've got the ears made and attached, and I've started attaching more panels. So this panel here I heated up with a heat gun and then stretched it a bit, and that's how it makes it a little bit of a curved shape to it. Now, one thing also I got from the dollar store is some LEDs that are battery operated, little Christmas string lights, as well as they had some almost like EL wire, blue and pink wires they had there. They were $1.50 each. So you're looking at about $3 worth of lights for the EL wire and the glowing lights for the Star Kitten. So there was extra lights there. I just kind of tucked them inside and hid them around. Later I will cut the wire short and just kind of solder them shorter, so the battery pack is just only providing light to these 6 lights here. But you can see this is starting to come into shape. This also fits a little bit tighter because once I put it on, I have magnets in the back that I can cinch the back together and wrap it around my head. So here we are adding even more panels to the piece. You can also see that I've used the Dremel and carved into a lot of the panels around the chin, along the top, creating the different sides. I marked out where I wanted rivets, but ended up not putting the rivets in. In my hand you can see the battery pack that powers the lights. I'm just holding it right now. I haven't found a place to attach it at this point, but it's coming along. And here is, you can see the side where I've turned the piece inside out, so I now have that carbon weave. I'm going to add a little bit more. I haven't done it yet. Some more like tubes along this side to kind of fill it in a bit more, but it's looking really good. So although this picture is inside my basement, it is not where I painted this. You can see the paint here. I was just going to show a little bit of a happy accident. Looking through a cupboard full of old spray paint, and this is quite an old spray paint here, I thought, well, paint a base white and then see how things look. So I taped it off. You can see the green masking tape here, and started spraying and realized this is not white, but a bright metallic silver, which was even better. So I've masked off the ears, the glasses, along the side, and I sprayed. On the table you can see the dollar store EL wire, the blue wire that I'm going to add in to the helmet around the mouth piece. So here's with some of the parts unmasked. You can see what it's looking like now, and then I remasked and I painted a very thin layer of pink and other colors over the silver so the metallic still comes through. I used some dollar store paintbrushes. They ended up working really well as well. So this is like $1.25 for 4 brushes, and they were actually quite good. They worked quite well. So here it is with some pink on there, just starting. Still has a little bit more to go as far as just getting this nice and flat and adding some extra color. I'm going to do some sepia and some brown, and then I'll do the extra wiring. And here we are, black around the ears, black on the face, and the wiring put in. This is the finished piece, except for tucking away these 2 battery packs for the blue wire and for the light bulbs. Now I worked on the chest armor. This did not come out nearly as well as I'd hoped, because with my budget I only had 1 sheet of each color, the gray and this kind of teal color. So I cut out the pieces, put them together, and then using the Dremel carved them out. So these lines, although it looks like marker, are actually carved in lines, and a little bit of silver paint will fill in the grids that I have there, little vents and stuff, to give it a little bit of mobility and to attach the pieces. I found these, something I haven't really used since grade school, these brass fasteners, these paper fasteners, so I could just use these to stick through the foam and attach the pieces together. The only expensive part of this whole project is something I already had, something I've had for quite a long time, and it's this dry suit. Now this dry suit, I will say right now, I haven't worn in probably 15 or 20 years. This is way back when I used to kiteboard. I definitely don't do that now. I'm definitely not in the shape that I used to be. I did not take any photos of me really in this or putting it on. If you would like to see what that's like, you can watch the latest Black Widow movie and watch Red Guardian trying to put on his costume that he hasn't worn in many years, and that's basically what I did. Still fits just as well as his does. It was definitely a workout. Used to be the hardest part was getting my head through the neck gasket, but yeah, that is now child's play compared to getting the rest of me into this suit. But this is a pretty good looking suit as far as like a spacesuit goes, and so that was what I was thinking. Nice tight neoprene, ready for space. So that is the finished product. I used some EL wire, another one from the dollar store, a pink one, to make myself a little Moby glass. You can see I've got a little bit of forearm armor I've made here in a little suit that I've made all the other chest armor pieces together, and it turned out really well. It looks super good. In daytime, everything's glowing, and at night, the eyes, surprisingly enough, provide enough light to actually see if you're walking around in a dark environment. So I was really happy with how this turned out as well. The Moby glass here, I'm giving it a use, and this is my entry. So this is how I made my Star Kitten entry on the cheap. I've made some modifications since I took this photo. I've actually added some more, like the text, the Star Kitten text along the side. But as it stands right now, this is my current entry and my current setup for the Star Kitten armor. So I'm going to definitely remake some body armor at one point, but I hope this helps anyone who wants to get into trying to make some Star Citizen cosplay, or if they just want to try making the Star Kitten helmet or something. If you make something else and you've used this for a little bit of an inspiration, leave a comment below with maybe a picture, and I'd love to see it. And that is it. So thanks again for something a little bit different, and I hope to see you soon in the verse. Goodbye.